Hello, Taylor Ellwood with Magical Experiments, and today we're going to talk about what you can do to create effective relationships with pop culture entities and deities. And you'll find some of this information in my book, Pop Culture Magic, as well. So I think that it's very important to recognize that when you're working with pop culture deities or entities that you're pretty much going to treat them the same way you would any other magical entity or spirit, and that ideally is with respect. Um, you wanna make sure that whatever relationship you're going to cultivate, that it's one where there is mutual respect, and that you're following through on whatever you've agreed to do in return for whatever it is they're going to be doing for you, or that if it's a relationship which is a bit more devotional, that you're definitely following through on your end, and that you're honoring them in whatever way you see fit. One of the ways that I approach working with pop culture deities and entities and in terms of developing these relationships is really spending a lot of time doing research on the actual pop culture. I'm not going to approach a pop culture entity or deity that I'm not already a fan of, because I'm not going to know that much about them. If, however, I'm a fan of a particular form of pop culture, a TV series, and I want to really work with the entity in that TV series, then it's going to be a lot easier to do that, because I'm going to already know those characters, those entities, those deities fairly well through watching the TV. I might, if there are books about them, I might end up reading them. If there's some commentaries or some interesting information along those lines, I may end up finding out information or watching those commentaries when I pick up the seasons on on DVD or Blu-ray. It's doing that kind of research can really be helpful, because it helps you to establish a deeper relationship with the characters. And I'll use an example. I have a real avid interest in Batman, the character. I read the Batman comic books. I have the most recent trilogy of movies that came out in the 2000s, and I also have Batman the Animated Series. Now, I don't have every single Batman comic, I don't have all the TV shows, but I do have a lot of it, and I do watch the commentaries, and in one sense, really, what I'm working with is a specific version of Batman. Maybe the Batman that's the version of the animated series, or the Batman that is the version from the movies, or the Batman that is the most recent version from the comic books. And it's important to understand that when you're working with Batman, that sometimes you are working, or with any character, that you are working with specific versions. You're working, and what a version is a version is essentially it's a snapshot of that character as it's portrayed by whoever's playing that character. So the Batman from the Batman the Animated Series is definitely a distinctly different version as compared to the Batman in the video games, or the Batman in the movies that were put out in the 2000s. And knowing the differences can be helpful, because there may be certain aspects of one version of Batman that you don't want to work with, whereas another version might fit your needs better. And this applies too with any other type of pop culture entity that you're working with. So when you're thinking about how to work with them, you're going to need to pick out the right version, and you need to do your research, find out more about these entities, cultivate a relationship through learning more about them. That way, you know what to give them, how to honor them, what it is that you need to do in order to make that relationship work. In case of a character that you're working with, you might even consider creating an altar, or like a collage or something else along those lines that is representative of that character and representative of the version that you want to work with. So that's how you work with pop culture entities and deities. Next time we're going to talk about pop culture magic from a practical perspective, i.e. without the entities and deities. So look forward to that, and if you enjoyed this video, please click subscribe.